Everybody, is James Father's Rights and Resources with the hashtag How I Got Custody. Just want to talk a little bit more about my online store. I just added proof of my victories. So in there, you can see actual court documents in which I've actually prevailed or won or got a good deal out of. First and foremost, there's my parenting plan. So if you go to my store, there's a link below in this video. If you go to my store, where there's winning documents and packets of things that I use to win in court. The first row and a couple more spots, I'll probably be adding some more. The first row are free documents that you can download. You don't have to pay or show a credit card or anything. You just order them. You can download them. My parenting plan, that shows I got custody of my daughter when she was 7 months old. And if you look at the signature, it shows, I mark in there where it says the father has custody, he has sole decision making, and the mother has an attorney. There's a signature of her attorney. There's a signature of the guardian ad litem, who was a radical feminist who hated my guts. And there's the mom's signature by confirmation through the attorney. So there's 3 enemies of mine on the bottom of this order. Then there's my first contempt order that I won and got the mother found in contempt. And it shows a judgment of $250, 3 or 4 days of makeup time, and that she's in contempt. And again, there's the mother's attorney and the guardian ad litem, who was in there arguing and fighting for the mother not to be found in contempt. She's supposed to be there for the child and not the mother. Then I have something I always link in every video already. There's an online version of me winning a reversal in the Court of Appeals. So they're showing that I won in the appellate court, and not just won, but I got a reversal where my judge was overturned and told, you need to change this order. Sometimes they'll say, oh, you did this wrong, rethink this, or have a new hearing and do it over with this line of thinking. That's called remanding and telling them what to do. But this one was a reversal, saying you were wrong, fix it. And then there's another order in which I actually show the transcript, so that you guys can see the judge's ruling at the end of the transcript. But you can also see the argument if you wanted to, and me going in there and fighting against the mother's first attorney and him looking stupid. And that transcript shows me arguing about trying to get visitation with my daughter, and the judge saying you're entitled to a great deal of visitation. So she gave me 5 days a week when my daughter was 3.5 months old. So my first court order visitation is in there, a temporary order. And then I have another transcript in which a couple years later we went back to court. The mother objected to my relocation. And then we had a hearing that determined the status of the case, and it got thrown out. And the judge, is actually a family law commissioner, said the mother's arguments are disingenuous. She's attacking the father, and the guardian ad litem report should be thrown out because it's not credible. And this is more like a termination of parental rights case than it is for the mother to try and get more visitation. And the case was thrown out, and I was awarded attorney fees. I had an attorney for a short period of time because I was afraid about going to trial, but that was way back in 2003, 2004. Now I know better, and now I know that I could do my own trials. Many of my clients have done their own trials. So that transcript is there, and it shows what his decision is, but you can also see the wording. And you can also see one important thing is that the judge said, well, James's attorney did a great job briefing the court on this whole thing. And my attorney interrupts, and I mark it in red, I think. My attorney interrupts and says, actually, my client did all the work. He does all the work on this case and writes the paperwork. And then the judge or family law commissioner says, well, maybe law school is the next step. Like maybe he should go to law school. He did such a good job. So I'll probably add a couple more orders, like my first defensive restraining order. I got to find that transcript. And there's a couple others where the mom did a contempt motion against me along with her second attempt at an anti-harassment order. And she was asking for some other relief, and they lost on everything, and I kicked the attorney's butt. So need to find that order also. It's buried somewhere. But so you see 5 orders there online, and just my reversal in the Court of Appeals. There's another Court of Appeals I won, which was discretionary review, where they accepted review, and then the mother dropped the case, because after you get discretionary review accepted, that's the big hurdle. So you're going to lose in appellate court. So I have 5 orders on there now, proof of James's wins, to prove that I know what I'm talking about. There's nobody out there showing their winning court orders. There's no lawyer saying, oh, look at all the dads I helped get custody in contested cases. Now, there's lawyers who help dads get custody, but that's because the mother agreed and already wanted to do that. We're talking about fighting and in contested cases. And I don't know of an attorney who's ever gotten 10 dads full custody in contested cases. I stopped counting at 200 several years ago. I'm probably closer to 300 with all the dads who say, hey, I was watching your videos and I got custody a few months later, or you gave me this advice, and they call me like a year or two later, and there's stories I don't even know about. So I'm probably closer to 300 dads that I've worked with who got full custody without a lawyer. Now, I work with moms too. This is the predominant bigger need is with dads. 90% of the people getting screwed in family court are fathers. There's plenty of mothers getting screwed, but the vast majority are fathers. So that being said, here's proof that I know what I'm talking about. You shouldn't be talking to anybody else, to be honest with you. Now, if there are other fathers' rights advocates out there, sure, talk to them. But where are they? I don't know where they are. There's a group called the Fathers' Rights Movement. I did a whole video on how they suck. All they do is whine, cry, and pout. And they're guys who lost in court and got their butts kicked. And they're giving legal advice to all these other guys that come to their meetings and giving them bad advice, like telling a dad, go ahead and give your kid back to the mom whose boyfriend is a child molester. There's a guy, and I was on a Facebook group one time, and I was talking, and I was saying, why would you give your child back and endanger them? This guy jumped in and said, it's because he can go to jail for doing that, and he shouldn't do that. I said, where's the law on that? It took the guy like 20 minutes. He found a law, and then he linked the law, and the law said, you can go to jail if you hold a child for a long period of time and blah, 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 blah. The exception is to protect the safety of the child. This stupid jackass in the Fathers' Rights Movement in Idaho on the Facebook page told this guy to give the kid back to get molested more because the law says you have to. Well, the law says you don't have to if it's to protect the child's safety and welfare. So this guy lied to him because this stupid jackass in the Fathers' Rights Movement can't read. So who are you listening to? Even if you have an attorney and you're keeping an attorney and you want to be dumb enough to continue to spend another $10, $20, $30, $100,000 on attorneys, you really should figure out these attorneys aren't for you after the first $10,000 you waste. Okay? I never spent more than $1,000 on an attorney. I only got attorneys who gave me a break or a deal. I came across the guy who actually represented me for a short period of time. He let me do all the work. I told him what to do and what to say in court. He was just a mouthpiece for me, and he was just helping me get ready for trial. And we were getting ready for trial, and like I showed in another video, I had trial notebooks ready and set to go that were 5 volumes long. You see that? This is one of the notebooks. I was using it for a sample for video I'm working on. And it's volume 3 of 5. I had about 320 exhibits ready to go to trial. And we're going to put the mom's attorney on the stand and grill the crap out of him because he testified in a declaration. You're not supposed to do that. But he made himself a witness, so we're going to put him on the stand. And they never wanted to go to trial anyway. So that case got dismissed. I have that transcript. There were some other problems where they did some trickery to get it back. And then I went to the Court of Appeals, and that's when they quit and dropped the case. So you have proof of my wins and my actual court orders. What father's rights group, what paralegal, what advocate out there is showing you orders that they've won themselves or that they've helped clients win? Now, most clients don't want to get on. I have clients who DM me and I post their testimonials on Instagram mainly. And a lot of people just don't want to reveal their business. So a lot of people don't want to do testimonials. But the fact that I won over and over at different types of hearings over the course of years against attorneys with 17 years experience, and the mother's second attorney started off, he had 37 years experience when he came on board in 2003. By the time he retired, he had 50 years under his belt, and I kicked his butt in the Court of Appeals twice and in Superior Court and all throughout the case. He won some hearings, but I won some. He should never lose one hearing to a pro se, but I kicked his butt on several hearings. So when I was protesting outside of his house, he was standing out there and taunting me like, I'm glad to hear she kicked your ass last time you were in court. Well, by that time, him and his lover, the Judge James Edwin Rogers, or Jim Rogers of King County, who loves pedophiles and sex offenders and child molesting priests, that judge was in the tank for her, and he ordered that she shouldn't have to pay college tuition for our daughter. And I've never heard of a non-custodial parent not paying college tuition. The judge hated me so much because I got him reversed in the Court of Appeals that he ordered that the mother doesn't have to pay for college. Mother makes 2 to 3 times as much as me, doesn't have to pay for college. That's never happened to a non-custodial dad. Anyway, so I kicked that attorney's butt. He still talks crazy to me because he's a legend in his own mind. And he's a sociopath. And but I got the court orders proving that I won. So you can check out my online store for everybody who's watching this, literally. Now, if I was going to be a hustler or salesman, I would tell you, you guys all need at least 3 or 4 packages. Everybody needs something from this store, at least to get the idea of what the law says or what your rights are, and to light a fire under your attorney's butt, or packets that actually works for countless other people. One of my biggest packets that's done so well is my domestic violence protection order packet that I've had countless stories of guys getting back to me. Hey, I bought your packet. I never even consulted with them. They just bought the packet. Hey, I bought your domestic violence protection order packet. It got dismissed. And one of the biggest things is all of the lawyers and bar associations and scholars and judges who I quote and admit that restraining orders are used for leverage and custody battles. So everybody could use, even if you don't use the actual packet, the arguments and the information that's in there are tools that can be used in your oral argument or your attorney's argument or to prompt you to go and look for stuff. I mean, two $20 bills for something that'll help you win a restraining order that, a restraining order is trying to block you from your life with your kid. If you win that, what's two $20 bills? Or if you get enough information, like really, in some of my packets, I have my accumulation of notes. I have a motion that worked, a response, a reply, an attack, a legal memorandum, several different documents within a packet. Like my discovery packet, there's like 7 different samples of discovery. There's like 3 or 4 interrogatories, request for production, request for admission, and a couple other things in there. Or the trial packet has a couple trial briefs, a couple of motions and things that have to do with pretrial stuff and admitting evidence, an evidence cheat sheet for objections with the evidence rules, a sample witness list, a sample exhibit list, a sample of what a trial notebook should look like and all the elements and the cover sheet and everything like that. Those are the type of packets that I have on there. But if all you want to do is verify I know what I'm talking about, go to my online store and download the free stuff, the first 5 free court orders that say proof of James's wins, actual winning orders. Just my custody order should be enough to convince you I know what I'm talking about. Just my win in the Court of Appeals over an attorney with 50 years experience in school and the crap. He'd been in the Court of Appeals 20 or 30 times, and I kicked his butt twice. And I actually could have kicked his butt again, but I dropped the thing because the last order that I had a problem with, my daughter was about 16. She's in her last years of high school. I just didn't have time for the drama and the energy and all that stuff. And if I would have won, the one thing I'd get out of it is just to say, nah. I wouldn't get anything out of it in the end. So I let that one go. And that was me going to jail without being notified of a hearing and stuff like that. I got a federal lawsuit against those people for that. So in any case, proof of James's wins, my actual winning court orders. And then there's documents there that I actually used to win and more notes and case law that I've accumulated over the years to add to that. So you're not going to find this stuff anywhere else. You're not going to find anybody else out there who's doing what I'm doing. If you do, then contact me so I can contact them and we can all network together. But I doubt that's going to happen in 20 years. I've never seen guys network together for more than a few weeks. Then they quit. And then the next generation of guys come on board and say, let's fight the system. And then there are no show for a protest. There are no show to go to a judge's house. There are no show to volunteer for lawyers running against a corrupt judge. It's just not going to happen. So I'm sitting here helping people win and find answers to win in their court case now and get access to their kids. After they fire their attorney, they usually do better. So you don't believe me? Go look at my winning court orders. You don't believe me after that? Then you get what you deserve because you're too dumb to figure out that James went to court. He won. He's selling packets that are thousands of dollars cheaper than it would cost for an attorney to write it up. I'm going to go trust my attorney who I've spent $50,000 on, and he hasn't gotten me anything, but everybody uses an attorney, and that's what they do, so I'm going to do what they do. Everybody else also believes in a bunch of crazy stuff and is doing a bunch of crazy stuff because the media tells them to do it. So make a decision, fight for your kids. If you don't believe what I'm talking about or believe that I know I'm talking about, good for you. Do some research. Go look at my winning court orders. And they have the certified stamp too, that they're certified. You can go to the courthouse and go look up my stuff if you want to. If you want like 100% proof and you live in the greater Seattle area, you can go to the courthouse and look at my documents because my case number is right on there. You can go look at it. It's a public case. So you shouldn't believe anything that I say just because I say it. I always tell people where the law is, where I get stuff from, where case law is, and give you links or tell you where to go look for it yourself. Because I'm not the source. I just found information and found where it is, and I want to help people find it themselves and learn how to do this stuff themselves because you could do better without an attorney. Like I said, I don't know an attorney that's helped 10 dads get full custody. I've helped close to 300 dads get full custody, and they did it on their own, and some of them went to their own trials and put on their own trials for 2, 3, 4 days. And some of them got small wins, some of them got huge wins, some of them got custody or 50-50 out of the deal, doing their trial all by themselves. I've had women and men do that, and the judge compliment them on, you're the best pro se or self-represented party I've ever seen. Your stuff together, you knew what you were doing, you were orderly, and they're like, you should go to law school, or the clerk will say, did you go to law school? How'd you learn all this stuff? So, but the real proof is in the pudding. Don't believe what I say just because I say it. Follow up. That's why, let me say this one other thing. Attorneys tell you, just do this. Just trust me. This is the way it always works. Why don't they tell you where the law is so you can look it up yourself? Why don't they tell you what rule I'm following? Why don't they tell you some case law? Why don't they cite some case law in your paperwork? Because they're just going through the motions, collecting a big fat retainer. They're hoping you'll settle at mediation so they can move on to the next big fat retainer. And they never lift a finger other than maybe they fight for you at a motion or two. And then they bill you for emails, consultations, meetings, and talking and milk you to death. And then they want to go to mediation where they sit around and talk about whether the other person is going to settle or not. And then if you don't settle on the mother's terms, they'll say, you better settle. I need $20,000 for trial or $50,000 for trial, or I'm going to bail on you. So they never intended to fight for you in the first place. So let's say you bought a couple of my packets. What is that? Let's say you bought 2 of my $40 packets and you're like, this is crap. I don't need this. You just spent $10, $20, $30, $100,000 on an attorney. What is that? Even if I bamboozled you into something like that, but I'm not, because I sit there and show you. If I show you winning court orders and I say, here's my packets, how I won a lot of these things, that's pretty much a no-brainer that I know what I'm talking about. Attorneys won't show you stuff. They won't even tell you the law. They say, just trust me. Or they say, I'm not going to fight like that because that's not the way that it's done. Or the courts will never believe you. Or the courts don't ever do this. Or the courts don't ever give dad 50-50 your custody. That's because they never tried. So they never try and do something. They never get it. And they turn around and tell you it'll never happen. Ask them to show you the law or where they get that from or how many times they tried. Ask and dig deeper. I'm telling you, don't believe what I'm saying. Make me back it up. And I back it up with my court orders on my online store. Link below. Okay? You can also do a one-on-one consultation with me. Every single person who's in family court should do a one-on-one consultation with me at least once. If somebody's representing themselves, they need at least 5 or 6 hours with me to be able to get the basics down and understand all this stuff. I needed a few hours with my mentor, and he barely told me anything. And I got full custody in 7 months against a 17-year experienced attorney. And I'm sitting here telling you 100 times more information than I ever got. And looking back, all the mistakes I made and things I didn't know, and I had to navigate it blindly and figure it out on my own. And the guy who mentored me, thank God he was there to give me a couple of leads, but he still didn't tell me 99% of what I know now. So why would you not want to talk to me? If I got full custody and you want full custody or 50-50, why would you continue to just go off of what your attorney says blindly and you got every other weekend or supervised visitation? What is it going to hurt to even try and talk to somebody like me? Every single person watching me, every single person in family court should be talking to me at least once. 100% of people I've ever talked to said, I learned more in an hour with you than I learned with my attorney the past year. Some people said 2 or 3 years because they've had attorneys off and on and went back to court over and over again. I've been doing this 20 years. Of course I know more than your attorney because they're a bunch of stupid jackass hustling cons, used car salesman type of people trying to sell you a lemon. And you've seen it with your own eyes. I know you've been to court and you know. You've been to court and you know when you watch your attorney, you stood there and like, this guy's arguing. I could argue better than this. How come he doesn't remember my case? How come he doesn't remember this point? How come they're not aggressively how come they're not objecting to this hearsay? How come they're not doing this and that? You know that you can argue better than your attorney can. Especially if you lost. You could have walked in there for free with 2 hands tied behind your back and your eyes closed, and you could have walked out with the same status quo every other weekend or supervised visitation from somebody accusing you of stuff. And then they're accusing you of being a monster, and your attorney says, well, let's not ruffle their feathers or talk bad about them. Does a prosecutor say, well, let's not talk bad about this rapist or pedophile? Or do they go in there and say it was a heinous, brutal murder, rape, molestation? They're a vicious, psychotic, weirdo who needs to be locked up? Or do they say, let's not prejudice them too much. Let's not talk too bad because then we'll look bad being aggressive. No, you call a spade a spade. And that's what I do. And that's what attorneys don't do. So check out my online store, my winning documents, proof of James's wins. And then you can decide for sure that whether I know what I'm talking about. And I'm willing to let you think James doesn't know what he's talking about. He needs to prove it to me. And that's why in all my videos, I'll say, go look up Civil Rule 11. I don't just say, hey, there's this rule out there that allows you to sanction somebody or ask for sanctions because they're lying and bringing frivolous action. I say, Civil Rule 11, it's public. I'm quoting what the public rule says. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm telling you, or my interpretation of law, I'm telling you, here's this law online or this rule online, and this is what it says. Go read it yourself. I'm not even asking you, like your attorney is, trust me in blind faith. I know everything. I got a suit and tie and I got a law degree. Half of those people were a bunch of spoiled brats who grew up with a golden spoon and went to law school, and they're a bunch of stupid jackasses who don't know anything about anything. They've never worked a day in their life at a real job, and they're sitting there trying to relate to somebody who lost their kids, and they got a American dream, white picket fence house, and their marriage is going great, and they got money, and they don't have any problems, and they can't empathize with you. I've been through this stuff and I've overcome the system. I'm a white male who raised a biracial daughter, braided her hair, does her hair, was there when she went through her cycle, was there when she went through struggles with boys and bullies in school and all this other stuff. I taught her about her ethnicity and her history and her background. That would have been ideal for her mother to do it, but I taught her way more than her mother ever has, and kept her around people of color, you know, had her doing girly things. So I went against everything that, you know, the court system thinks a man can't raise a girl, or a white man can't raise a biracial child, or a guy can't handle parenting, period. I defied all that stuff, and then I overcame a corrupt, prejudicial court system, and I won. And how do you know and believe that I won? Some of you guys out there have spent money on paralegals that are online that you'll never see or never meet. You just go onto this online service, you pay $500, and you send them facts to your case, and they send you some documents that don't even work or apply to your case. I would never buy anything from anybody that I can't actually see, unless it's like, you know, somebody like Amazon or somebody you can file a complaint and you can sue them or demand your money back, or something you know that can happen. But for the most part, when you're risking something like this, talking to somebody you can't see, and even people who have YouTube videos out there. There's this men's guy who does all kinds of men's be a man stuff. He went through a divorce. I forget his name right now, but he has a page where he says, you got to get a lawyer. The navigating the system sucks. And it looks like he got creamed in his divorce and he got screwed by a lawyer. And he's telling everybody to get a lawyer. And then when I go on the comments, or other people go in the comments and say, you don't need a lawyer, you could do this, he said, that's just horrible advice. You stupid jackass. You lost with the lawyer and you're telling everybody to do what you did. This is the idiocy that pervades throughout family court. And then that guy actually recently put a video. He goes, well, some people may not need a lawyer, after he's seen me bash him. Some people may not need a lawyer, but most people do, and it depends on your situation. No, nobody needs a lawyer. Anybody can do this unless you have a speech impediment. I've even worked with guys who English was their second language, and they struggled with it. And they went in court and kicked an opposing attorney's butt. So anyway, the proof is in the pudding. Proof of James's wins on my online store. Consider getting a one-on-one consultation with me. It's thousands cheaper than what an attorney would do, and you're going to get information that you wouldn't get anywhere else. Just watch my free videos. You know your attorney isn't telling you this stuff. So how much more are you going to get? Like, a lot of people say, they ask a general question like, how do I fight for this? How do I fight for that? Look, I need to know details of your case to know certain things about your case. There's no generic formula for everybody. I'm giving information that is general, that people can go and find out and apply to the facts of their case. If you want some specific answers for your case, you need a one-on-one consultation where we're dealing with the specifics. So everyone out there should consider one-on-one consultation. If you're not going to talk to me, you're not going to buy anything, and you're getting something out of my videos, could you consider looking at the links below to donate? Because, you know, I'm not making a killing off of doing this. And if you're benefiting from this and it's helped you, like a lot of people have said they got custody or they did this, and all they did is watch my videos. And I'm cool with continuing the free videos. But if you're benefiting from something like that, the average person who benefits from somebody's generosity or their time, they donate something. So would you consider making a donation one time or whatever? The links are below to donate. If you want to do that, I'd appreciate it. It would just help the cause. And the more people donate, the more I could do free stuff on. But I'm only doing free stuff when I get a chance to do it, or I have a thought and I need to get something out. So, but if you can't believe that I know what I'm talking about, and there's still doubters and haters in the comments, screw them. You know, are they out there helping people win? What do they do in their own family court case? Or some people got creamed so bad they can't believe the guys actually can win, and they think I'm lying. Well, here's my winning documents. Go check them out. And if you believe that I know what I'm talking about, like you should after you see the winning court documents, then consider getting a one-on-one consultation. If you haven't, consider getting some of the packets. Maybe just buy the cheapest packet or one of the cheaper packets. And if you like it, then go for another one, or text me like, do you think I need this? But I've told people who called or texted me, say, hey, I'm thinking about buying like 4 of your packets. And I'll say, no, don't get those 2. You don't need them yet. So I've told people, if I was a hustler, I would have told people, get that and get this other one. I'm honest with people. That's probably why I'm not living in a mansion, because I could take this knowledge and work it and hustle people and charge people $300 an hour like Judge Anthony does, or any of these other hustlers, or these, these crime mafia like family law attorneys. So anyway, another detail about my online store, check it out. Proof of James's Wins, my winning court documents. Then there's packets you can buy on there. I'm going to start putting some videos together. You can download how-to videos where you can watch a video where I talk an hour to 3 hours. The trial one's going to be like 3 hours, and it's 10 times as cheap as to get a one-on-one consult with me. But everybody should get a one-on-one consult. But I'm going to sell some videos. Those will be coming soon. I'll start doing those one by one about different details, how I fought off contempt, how I motioned for contempt in one, how I fought off bogus restraining orders, how I prepped for trial, how some of my clients kicked butt in trial, all the details of trial. I pretty much got that one done. I just have to go through it and tweak it. This stuff takes forever to do. I don't know if you guys know that, but you can't just get a video up and then, you have to have a cover and a thumb to it. You have to clean it up. Sometimes I make mistakes. I have to go back and clean it up. A lot of times it's raw because I don't have time to do that. But if you're going to make a video that people are going to download and buy, then it better be on point and together and concise and flow smoothly. So I have to do that. So that being said, check it all out. My online store, Proof of James's Wins, winning court documents, and my actual winning court orders proving I know what I'm talking about, for free, to download for free. Alrighty.